Okay, let's see if we can get this going real quick. This is gonna look real silly at first. I guess I'm over there. Oh, I gotta change that too. Okay, let's just hide those. Oh, well, we can just change it to say podcast host. Podcast host. Not me for once. Mark Ross. There we go. We'll leave it there. Hello, happy Wednesday. I'm the guest on a different podcast, so I'm trying to get this set up really quick. Oh, I gotta do the captions. Trying to get this set up really quick so that I can stream it for you guys before I join over there. So that's what's going on. And yeah, we're gonna talk about me, which we don't usually do. So we usually wind up talking about my guests, and today we're going to talk about me. So that's what's going on. If y'all have any questions while we're doing this, feel free to pop them into the chat and I'll get them addressed. I think is going to be the way that it works. He said if anybody asks anything to just we can just incorporate it. So I think that'll be great, and that's what we're going to do. It's not my normal time, which is also okay. Move this down so I can keep an eye on it also, like I normally do. And I've got everything set up for the chat, so I think we'll be okay there. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and hit join on this. So, I mean, we'll see how this goes. Moves it every time. I'll mute myself there. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, you know what? I can make this bigger. Oh, but it just makes that bigger. That's silly. But I've got it looks like everything's working like speaker and mic wise. So it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'll have to adjust some stuff like on the fly a little bit. Oh, let me get this going too. I'll have to adjust some stuff on the fly once this gets open, and then we'll be there. Let me tag everybody too. There we go. We'll send that. That ought to be fine. And I don't think I'll change this to like do not disturb. That'll be good. Oh, we should be fine. Test that one, test that one. I'm not showing up over here now. Oh. because it's way up there. I gotcha, I gotcha. So it goes up. There we go. Now it should be fine. I always forget that that's there. I'll look at levels and stuff. Like, obviously I can't troubleshoot levels when it's just me. I mean, I can troubleshoot my own levels. No?
I don't.
Let's see.
Check the view, click on view and look at
Oh, view.
other.
Oh, there we go. Oh, you're so smart. Look at that. There it is. I don't know how Zoom works at all. It has been so long since I used it for anything. Well,
So basically,
since they since they started making it where they were charging. I stopped using it when they started charging for everything. I was like, "Oh, well then I'm not going to do that."
but don't you charge with a OBS and
Nope. I do everything. I do everything that I do is free. So I use OBS, which is a free open source software, and then I use Discord, which is a free program as well. So like all of it's free. And you just have
wow.
to. I mean, I got to pay for like internet and stuff, but
Well, yeah,
that's
yeah,
it.
but still, right? Because if I can get that, you know, plug instead, I mean,
hmm
uh, I'd rather just do that and just save me a couple of dollars.
Yeah, yeah. And Discord, I've had problems with. Like I also have Riverside, But every time I've tried to use Riverside, there's like buffering issues. So
Mm,
I really try to only use Riverside's like my backup, and
hmm.
Discord is the main thing that I try to get people to use for the
Okay.
interviews, which almost always works. A couple of times I had like a guest in Australia for some reason. They sometimes have trouble with Discord, and so we switched over to Riverside, which is like the only reason I still have it is for those very
Mm,
few instances,
okay.
which
And I
is
know
fine.
Riverside you have to pay for, right?
Yeah, yeah, you do. But they have a lot of editing tools and everything in there, which I actually use. I use those I upload things into it and then I edit stuff for the podcast version. So the video version doesn't really like it just goes out live. And then
Mm,
the podcast version I wind up editing. Like I'll edit out long pauses or if there were any technical difficulties or anything like that. So I wind up editing some in there. And then I use DaVinci Resolve for like video editing, which is another free software with a steep learning curve. Like it is hard to learn, but then once you get into it, it's like, okay, all right, now I understand what all this stuff means. But for me, who
yeah.
doesn't do video editing, like
Yeah.
it was difficult.
Wow. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. And I have iMovie,
Okay, all right. So you're an Apple guy.
so I'm an Apple guy. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right. I'll
I
forgive
know.
you. No, no, I'm just kidding. You use what you want to use. Whatever makes you
Right,
happy is
right,
just fine. I just
right.
don't. I
Yeah,
had an iPhone in like 2003, 2004, whenever it was new, and that was the only time I switched after that.
did you? I was an Android guy, but I was convinced to switch over to the iPhones, and I've been rocking them since. But I was telling my wife the other day, I said, when I had the Android, I never lost my signal.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work in a corrections facility. I think I told you that, and
Yeah.
there would be places that I never lost a signal.
Mm-hmm.
But when I switched over to iPhone, I was losing signals in the exact same spaces. I'm like, man, that's crazy. I'm like, I should have stayed with the damn Android.
Same
Like, dude,
provider and everything, like same AT&T or Verizon or whatever mobile phone provider.
yeah, I think I just switched phones. Yeah,
Yeah.
but uh man, I never lost a signal when
Wow.
I had
Yeah. Yep.
but when I got this iPhone, I'm hitting dead zones on the road.
Oh no.
I'll be in places at the facility where I couldn't get a signal at all, and it's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
But other than that, I do like the Apple
Yeah.
features, and so it's
Yeah.
cool.
Use what you like. That's just fine. I just don't know how to use any of that stuff. So like if you have questions about
Yeah,
that, I got no idea.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, before we get started, you want me to refer to you as Mama Foxfire, or can I just, say, hey, this is, you
Most
know,
people call me Mama Foxfire. I don't usually share my real name online just because I do have two kids and
yeah,
privacy reasons and all of that. But if you're not
okay.
comfortable with like the mama part, you can just say Foxfire, like however you want to do it, it's just fine.
That's fine. I just wanted to know because I was like, yeah, she told me her name, but
Yeah.
you did. I remember you did mention the privacy thing, so
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah.
That's cool. I got you. But yeah, you really gonna have to. I really have to sit down with you one day so we could
I'd be happy
figure that
to.
out.
I'd be happy
Yeah.
to. I don't claim to do things in any sort of efficient way. It's not the right way, but I have set things up to where like there's enough going on all of my screens, and now I know what's going on whenever things are happening.
So
So
you,
I
you
can
got the Batcave going on
I
with the
do.
multiple.
I've got a screen here. I've got a screen here, and I've got a screen up and down this way over
Yeah,
here.
you got the Batcave
That's
uh
right. That's right. Little
going on.
control room.
So man, that's what's up. So yeah, I know I use Restream too.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, and I know that's a paid service, but I mean it serves its purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where all do
Yeah,
you use it? Is it just YouTube and Twitch or?
YouTube, YouTube, Twitch, and well, I used to do Twitch, but I don't do that as much anymore. But
Mm-hmm.
I think I might start getting back into it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I know people use Restream for like Facebook and stuff. I don't go live on those, but you can go
I go
live
live
on
on
multiple
Facebook.
platforms through OBS as well for free. So like you can go live as long as you can get the whatever the little code is called. As long as you can get the link for it, you can
Yeah.
use OBS to go live to all of them. So I go live on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. I was going live on Kick also for a little bit, but I it's too much of a weird place for me.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know a lot of these sites, but yeah, I'm just getting everything set up so we can get going,
All
get
good.
cracking. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this our
I
part
know.
two, our little discussion.
Yeah, it's been a while. I saw this on my calendar. I was like, I haven't heard from him. And then as soon as I thought that, you appeared in my inbox. So it was good timing.
Good, good, good. Yeah, that's good because yeah, I want to I'll do that too. I want to make sure that we're good on everything. So,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
that's cool. So, let me just let me do this right quick. We should be okay. Let me do this. Let me check this right quick and we'll get this party started.
All right.
I, I think we are on. I just wanted to give Facebook a chance to catch up because it moves
Yes.
slow.
Yep. Yep. It does.
So, yeah. Oops. Okay. Okay, Mama. We're on the Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross podcast, and I am your host, Mr. Mark Ross. I don't like being called Mr., but I just say that just for shits and giggles at some point. But ladies and gentlemen, I have with me this evening Mama Fox Fire. Mama Fox Fire is a podcaster, mental health advocate, and a storyteller, as she likes to put herself as. Mama, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. We were just talking about how long this has been in the making, and I'm super glad to be here with you.
That's right. That's right. Long time in the coming. Long. It seemed like it's been a while since I've
Been a
been on
minute.
your.
It's been a
Right.
few months at least. I'd have to look back at what the date was that you joined me, but yeah, it's been a
Yeah,
little bit.
it's been a minute, but we're here for round two. It's my turn to interview
Right.
you. Uh, so let's get this party started, Mama. Uh, as a mental health advocate, uh, what was life like for you growing up, and did it have an impact on you as it relates to becoming an advocate and speaking out against it?
Yeah. So I had a really good I had a really good childhood. My parents were great. They were very much on the young side, so they had a lot of growing up to do along with me. But I had a good childhood. My dad is a retired fireman. My mom had multiple jobs over the years, but now she's a risk analyst. And when I was
Mm,
growing up, she was a personal trainer and she did all kinds of just little jobs here and there, and then she was mostly the one who was like home and making sure that we got to where we needed to go and all of that kind of thing. And dad,
mm,
being a fireman, was working 24 hours and then 48 hours back home, so it was a little bit of a not super traditional space to grow up in, but yeah, I mean, it was good. And we had a lot of family in the area, very similar to how I am now with my kids. We've got a lot of family, a lot of community, a lot of good support around us. And, grandparents and everything in very traditional type roles. Um, and yeah, I don't remember mental health being talked about a whole lot. And it was just kind of, it wasn't talked like, oh, don't say anything about it. It was just kind of not spoken about. And so
mm.
it wasn't something that you weren't supposed to talk about if you're sad or anything like that. But it was definitely if you're having big emotions, I don't want to know about them necessarily. Like you deal with that on your own. Uh, kind of thing, and a little bit of you got to make sure that you're supporting yourself. So that was a little bit of how I grew up. And I have two sisters. They're wonderful. One of them is a couple years younger than me. One of them's 5 years younger than me. So, um, it was
Yeah.
good. I had a good childhood. I really did. And I don't the impact for me becoming a mental health advocate, the real thing that drove me to that was when my grandfather went missing.
Mm.
And we can talk about that in more detail, but the bottom line is there was a lot of things that came out around that time in our family where it was like, oh, he'd been struggling with some stuff for a while, and he was also a retired fireman. And retired firemen and firemen, you think of the typical, and it's a big macho guy, right? And so
Yeah.
he was very typical in that way, and he didn't talk about what he was going through at all. He was the rock in the family. He's very much the strong one. And whenever he went missing, a lot of things came out, and it was kind of like oh, maybe if he'd had someone to talk to, none of this would have happened. And so that's what really drove me to start talking about how I was doing, because our whole family was processing this trauma. And at the same time we're processing this trauma, it's like, oh shit, you need to get into therapy for yourself. You need to be talking to your family. You need to be checking in on your family, which we always had like I said, big community family, very much um, growing up together and being there to support one another. But it was never like, how are you doing? How are you really doing? It was never that kind of support. It was like oh, you need me to watch the kids. Oh, you need me to go get you something from the store. So that kind of service to one another rather than that real emotional
Mm.
connection. And so
Mhm.
I would say that my childhood set the foundation of like, all right, you've got the support in place, but didn't give me the way to really voice it to anyone. And I think therapy did a lot of that. But then also, honestly, like the trauma that our whole family went through forced us to do some of it.
Mm. And what were the issues that your grandfather went through, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so obviously we don't know. I mean, his remains were found 5 years later, so we will
Oh,
never
oh,
really know the whole story of everything. There's not even an official like cause of death or anything, but a lot of things indicate suicide, and so he was dealing obviously with suicidal ideations, but also just a lot of emotional things. There were some things going on in his marriage that came out at the time, and we don't get to know what goes on in other people's marriages. That's generally not something that you're going to find out, just unless you
yeah.
are a therapist and you're up in everybody's business, or you have someone who's willing to just kind of share their deepest, darkest secrets and that kind of thing. Um, but he was struggling, and he was struggling with in a few areas of his life. And
Mm.
I really think that if he had someone else to talk to about it, or if he had felt like it was okay to give voice to what he was going through, that he would still be here.
Hmm. Were you close with him?
I was. So I have, like I said, I have two kids, and at the time, my youngest was, let's see, he would have been 4 at that time, 3 or 4. I guess he would have been like 3.5 to put it in kid ages. But and Papa was one of those people who he was always on the floor playing with the kids, and he was very much, oh, can I give your kid ice cream? Okay, good, because I already did. He was just very loving and always very caring and always very there. And if you needed anything, you could call him. He helped me move many times as a young adult. And whenever I lost my job in the housing crisis of 2008, he was one of the ones that was like, what can I do? How can I help? And I know that he and my mom, really were able to be like, here's some groceries. We're gonna make sure that you're getting through, because I was very proud at that time of like making sure I was out on my own and supporting myself, and at the time my one kid on my own. And so I was too proud to ask for money, but they were like, trunk full of groceries, you want some big bags of beans and rice? Like they were very much in that realm of being supportive. But yeah, I was really close with him, and I had actually seen him just a couple of weeks before he went missing. He came over to the house and hung out for a little while, picked up some Girl Scout cookies he had ordered, and
Mm.
was reading my youngest bedtime stories and everything at bedtime. And so, yeah, I was close with him. I wouldn't say I was like as close as I am with my sister or my mom or my dad or anything like that, but probably closer than like a normal grandparent.
Mm, mm, okay. Well, my condolences, and I know it's
Thank
all
you.
late, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know that that is hard, especially when you hope that your loved ones are found alive and
Yeah.
somewhat well, but you know the when there's dirt behind certain the issues, I mean, it makes things sketchy.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, that was your granddad, and you loved him, and you know, um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But any, and I know that in your bio you mentioned that you were dealing with an abusive relationship at some point. Uh, how did you turn your life around from being in that position, Mama, to using gaming as a means of self-care? Because I know that you're into gaming. So
Yes, very much.
we'll talk
Yeah.
about.
So this was actually around, I guess it kind of started a little bit before when I started trying to figure out how to leave this marriage. But um, it, that same event of my grandfather going missing is really kind of what solidified it for me of no, you need to go ahead and leave. Not because my grandfather was in an abusive marriage, but because the things that were coming out about some of the dirt that was coming out on him, which everyone has a little bit of dirt. It's fine, It just doesn't usually get aired for the world to see and discuss. Um, but a lot of the things that were coming out had me re-examining some of my life and my marriage, and I was like, wow, if a lot of the things that came out about him came out about me and what I was going through, like a lot of people would be really judgy. Like, why are you still there? And um, but yeah, I was in a marriage. We started dating in 2009. We got married in 2011. Had a kid in 2013, and it was just one of those situations where there wasn't necessarily physical abuse, but there was a lot of emotional and mental that was perpetuated, and um, it took me a really long time to say, oh, this is unsafe for me to be here. It's unsafe for me to stay here. And it took me a lot of therapy also. I didn't come to that on my own. I started going to therapy when my grandfather went missing. I had tried therapy previously because in 2015 I found out that my husband at the time was having an affair, and
Mm,
we went into couples therapy and we went into therapy on
Vigil.
our, yeah, each individually. Couples
Right.
therapy didn't last long because he decided he couldn't win, and those are his words. He said, I can't win in therapy, so we're not going anymore, which is a
Oh,
huge
sounds like a narcissistic reply there.
ding ding. Yeah, so we stopped going, but I tried to keep going with that therapist, and she wasn't it for me. And I thought at the time that was what all therapy was like. She was very much a hand you a worksheet and go do this at home and then come back with your worksheet and then we'll just hand you another one. Um, and so I went for a little while and I stopped going. And then a couple years later is when my grandfather went missing. I decided to go back to therapy for that. And that therapist really helped me work through a lot of that. And then also, we started just talking about life in general and work and family and all of that. And she's the one who really helped me identify that I was in an abusive relationship. 'Cause like I said, there weren't bruises, but that's not what leaves scars necessarily. So, um, and she, whenever I finally said, "Oh, this is abuse," she clapped in our session. She
Mm,
clapped because obviously a therapist is not going to tell you this
right.
is abuse unless it is something that is critical to your health or
Yeah.
something like that. But
You basically have to
um,
figure it out on your own.
it's much more powerful when you figure it out on your own too.
Mm,
Like if once you figure it out or once you identify it, because I probably knew in the back of my head, but once you give it that name, it's like,
mm,
oh, okay, now I need to figure out what I'm doing. And so
mm,
I on the heels of all of that, and in the middle of all of that as well, one of the things my therapist was really pushing was to increase self-care. And I have two kids. Also, at the time, I had two other stepsons. And so it was four kids, and it was basically I was married, but I had five kids, pretty much. So,
So your husband being the fifth kid?
yeah, yeah. So I was working full time and always getting dinner on the table and always just trying to keep up with everybody's activities, and everyone was in activities and all of that. So, um, it was very much I was treading water at best, maybe a little bit drowning also without wanting to admit it to myself. And so my
Sure,
therapist
sure.
was really pushing to increase self-care. And we talked about what that looked like. And I was like, well, I can't go do anything. Like, I'm not allowed, another red flag. I'm not allowed to go and do stuff. I'm not allowed to go and spend an hour getting a pedicure. I'm not allowed to go to lunch with my friends. And if I go to lunch with my friends, I'm going to get 1,000 text messages within the first 15 minutes of where are you?
Yes.
When are you coming
Mhm.
back? You know, all of
Yeah,
all of that. And
yeah.
that all is under the realm of abuse and everything. And that wasn't,
Manipulation.
yeah, it doesn't even scratch the surface of what I went through. But one of the
Mm.
things that I had identified was painting my nails, which I still do. I still paint my nails all the time. This is not maybe the best example. It's like a purple to green shift on my nails.
Okay.
Normally they're super bright or super dark colors and everything, but I still paint my nails every week because it's something that I could do at home and it was low cost. Don't look at how much nail polish I have, because if you look at how much I have, it probably wasn't low cost over the whole thing. But something I could do at home. And the other thing that I really identified was, okay, journaling was great for me as long as I could rip out the page and throw it away. And then gaming was another thing. I was a gamer when I was young. I was gaming with my grandfather, not the same grandfather who went missing. My other
Okay.
grandfather, he had a computer before my family had a computer, and we used to go over there and play games like Castle of the Winds and Incredible Machine and all of those. And so I had been a gamer for a really long time. And whenever I met my husband, he joined me in playing some games. And then after we got married, he was like, I don't want you playing games anymore because you're interacting with people who I don't know, and that's not okay. Some of them could be men. And
Mm.
and so I really kind of just dialed it back in, which at the time I was like, okay, well, there's a lot going on in my life anyway. The kids are busy, I'm busy, work is picking up, and all of this. So I just kind of set it aside as like, all right, well, I don't need this in my life and I don't want to fight about it. So I put it aside. And then back in therapy, she was like, what were the things that you enjoyed when you were a kid? And we talked about that. And we talked about I was becoming closer with my sister also throughout this ordeal. And um, I was already talking to my sister all the time. And we would talk on the phone, and she would be playing a game. She liked to play a couple of different games. And at the time, I think she was playing like WoW and Ark, probably, for the two that she was playing. And she would be playing. And so we would just be on the phone for a long time while she was playing. I was like, okay, what are you doing? What are you playing? And so she would show me what she was playing, and um, she got me into it a little bit. My therapist convinced me that that would be an okay thing for me to do because it was at home and again low cost and didn't take me out where I couldn't be accessible to my ex, which was a problem. And so we started gaming, just me and my sister pretty much, and then we really kind of got into it a little bit more, and I decided to start streaming. And that at that point I had already decided that I was going to file for divorce. I was just coming up with a plan to be able to safely do that. um, and so I pushed back pretty hard on being told that I shouldn't do that, and um, really kind of held my ground there. And I never looked
Mm.
back. And now I game all the time, and it's great. And I game with my kids, and it's a way of connection. And I've met some of my very best friends are from when I started gaming again. And so it's really been something that it brings a lot of community, and it brings um a lot of peace to me
Yeah.
to be able
Yeah.
to get that part of myself back.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you know when you rediscover yourself, it you're not the same person that you are before you went in it, in the mess, in the drama, or whatever it is that you went into. You come out as someone different, and
Yeah.
you have to relearn who Mama is now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So your podcast, even tacos fall apart.
Yes.
Uh, talk about that, and a question that I want to ask you regarding that is: do you help others rediscover themselves during the show?
Okay.
So talk about the podcast and talk about rediscovering, helping other people discover themselves.
Yeah. So the podcast, Even Tacos Fall Apart, is just really kind of that underscoring of like, shit's gonna fall apart in your life. Life is not pretty, it is messy, and sometimes things don't go your way. This week, for me personally, has been like a really awful week. Something has happened every single day so far this week, and at this point I'm just like, what's tomorrow gonna bring? We'll get there and we'll figure it out. And sometimes you have those weeks where it's just not fun. Sometimes it's years
Uh,
where it's just not
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
It can
yeah.
be days, weeks, months, years. And the main thing that I try to say with the podcast is just like, it's not always going to be pretty, but everything is going to be okay. So the Even Tacos Fall Apart piece is like, yes, you're eating a taco. Yes, it's delicious. That's life. And some stuff's going to fall out of the taco. The taco shell's going to crack in half, whatever it is. And you just pick up a chip and you eat it like a nacho, and you carry on, because we still love tacos even when they fall apart. So you're still worthy of
Mm,
love even when you fall
mm,
apart. You're still worthy of
mm.
that time and energy spent even whenever you're falling apart. And I
That's it.
think most of what I do is interview folks like yourself to help them share their stories and to help facilitate those conversations of like, let's talk about depression, let's talk about death positivity, let's talk about sex positivity, let's talk about sex work, let's talk about going into prisons and doing ministry there, like whatever we can talk about in some way that relates to mental health, and
Yeah,
being more open about it and just being willing to have those conversations where it's not always comfortable, but hopefully you're always learning a little bit. I feel like I learn something every week from my guests. So that's
me
that's
too.
that's the main thing that creating that podcast has done, is just
Mm,
provide a space where we can talk about the hard things and really get
mhm,
into there. And then the
mhm.
second part of your question, the helping people
Rediscover.
rediscover themselves. You know,
Sure.
my journey of rediscovering myself has been long, and it's still ongoing, and it will be ongoing forever and ever, right? That's how that goes.
Indeed.
But
Indeed.
we also have a great community, and I think that's probably where a lot of that comes in. You know, I started doing this podcast in 2019, and then 2020 happened, and so it was kind of like on again, off again. But even
Sure.
then, we were still building that community in the background and making sure that everyone was staying connected, even though we were all further apart than ever at that time. And a lot of the things that we have done in Discord really try to support that, where it's like, hey, if you need peer support, you can come in here and talk about what's going on. If you need to just rage against a wall and provide some text in a safe space, you can do that. If you want to talk about more serious stuff, people hate talking about religion and politics, but if you want to talk about more serious stuff, there's a place
Yeah.
for you to do that. And so I think
Indeed.
a lot of that, if anyone would say they have I've helped them rediscover themselves, uh, I think it would probably have been through there for sure.
Mm.
Oh, Tib, I love this comment. It says overstuffed taco or underfilled burrito. It's still a taco every time. Yes.
It's, hey, as long as it's good going down, hey, let's
That's
go.
right. That's right.
And I really do respect the premise behind the title of your podcast, because I think that in my generation, for sure, if you were broken, you were stigmatized.
Mhm.
You were looked at funny, right? Whereas now it's become more accepted to come out and say, "Hey, this is Mark.
Mhm.
This is me. I don't have it all together. There's some days that I want to do some stupid stuff. There's some days that it's all, peaches and cream, whatever the case may be." But in my generation and how I saw life and how life was for many other people in my age bracket, the stigma was real.
Mm-hmm.
You had to smile when you didn't want to. You had to act as if you had it all together, but the whole time your taco was broken. I'm glad that we are now in a state uh, uh, that we can have these particular conversations. I'm talking to you from another part of our nation, and we're having similar dialogue with other people about this similar topic, because this issue called mental health is very real, and it's nothing to be played with. And we need more people like us to really get out there and speak out on this thing, so that others that are suffering can garner some strength and some self-confidence to really look at themselves and say, I've listened to Mark, I listen to I'm a Foxfire, and yeah, I got to do something about this, because I'm not where I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't it. I'm one step away from doing something real crazy, and I need somebody to talk me off of that ledge. That's why we're doing what we're doing, to help people get off the ledge.
Yep.
You understand what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
Yeah.
And go the other way and speak out
Mm-hmm.
to somebody, cry,
Yeah.
hey, whatever, call somebody. Hey man, I need to vent. I need I need to do something.
Yeah.
Steer me in the right direction. I know I'm on a big old soap opera box, but I get like this, you know what I'm saying, when we have discussions like this, because it pumps my spirit.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It pumps my spirit when I engage with people and they understand the assignment.
Yeah.
They understand the assignment, and they're here for the smoke.
Yep.
Regardless of what happens, we're here for the smoke.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing what
Yeah.
you do.
Well, hey, you know what? I love what you do as well. And I think that not everyone is going to start a podcast. Not everyone is going to go through, you know how much work it is to get everything organized
Yeah,
and to get everything ready and all the prep and everything that goes into it. But I
yeah,
also appreciate the people who are willing to come on shows like yours and shows like mine and share their story, because I think that is really impactful as well, because I have my life experience, and of course I will talk about myself all day. Hello. But
yeah.
it whenever I talk on my podcast, it's about someone else. And whenever I am in there, I am showcasing what they have been through, and I am making sure to get their story out there. And the people who are willing to go on and share that with the world, they're the ones also just helping break that stigma down. I feel like it's so important both ways. What you do is really important. What people are willing to share is important. And even if you've been through something and you're like, no one wants to hear about that, sharing your story is part of owning it also.
Indeed. And I think that's the hard part, Mama, that people are afraid to own it,
Mm-hmm.
because that means that they have to admit that they're broken.
Mm.
And who wants to admit that they're broken?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Mm.
You didn't.
Nope.
We all ran from it, right?
Oh, I hid it. I hid that shit
Yeah.
as much as I could.
I should have won an award for my running, but when the lights were off, I was drinking myself to sleep.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story, a whole nother day. But yeah, we got to people have got to get into that place where they can stand, not proudly, but uh, uh, emotionally, even on a spiritual level, stand on their square and just, hey, this is me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to run anymore. I'm that shit is finished. I'm done running. I'm done faking the funk. mom, dad, family, this is Mark.
It's the
I'm
only
just a
way you'll
guy.
know who's really going to be there for you also.
Mm, hmm hmm So yeah, comment here. Um, my wife says, thank you. And sharing your story is also cathartic.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, because you can stand here and say, look at everything I've been through. Look how dark it got in my life. And then as you share your story and the more years that go by, the more months that go by, you're able to just look back and say like, I survived all of that and now I'm here wherever that is in your life, even if it's only incrementally better. It gets
Mm,
better and better and better the more you can really get through it
mhm.
and grow
I want
and heal.
indeed, indeed. I want to share something with you that I was moved in your bio that you shared with me. You mentioned that the goal of your podcast is to help others recognize that falling apart doesn't mean failure. It's often the first step towards rebuilding with strength and intention. That's a powerful quote there,
Thank
and
you.
I wanted to share that with you. And I mean, you don't have to go into detail because I think you did in some respects as far as rebuilding your new self.
Hmm.
But this is where it starts. This quote here is where it starts. Uh, to admit, to change, have the willingness to change, mama. And one thing that I also stress to people is to do the work.
Yeah. And it's work. It's a lot of
You
work.
got to do work. You
Mhm.
got to do work. Words don't mean shit.
Yeah.
I can care less about what you say. I care about what you do. What are you doing? Right? This is why we do what we do. This is why we speak out on this particular issue because too many people are doing this. Want. We don't need that. We need somebody that's walking, doing the work,
Yeah.
right? So that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and it's also it's easy to feel like my life is falling apart. I'm falling apart. I must be broken. And it's really hard to say, okay, what is broken though? Like,
yeah, yeah.
can you put it back together? Can you put it back together differently? Can you put it back together in a way that it was a vase and now it's a sculpture? Like how are you gonna rebuild from that? And a lot of the time I did feel like a failure. I felt like a failure sometimes as a mother, I felt like a failure as a wife, I felt like a failure just in general as a human being because I didn't want to be here anymore. And so
Mm,
it's like you could look at any of those points and say I was broken. I felt like I was a failure. But you got to take a step through that and just be able to say like, okay, I got through it and now I am going to do that rebuilding and I am going to do that with intention. And that's where the work comes in.
mm. In your bio, also you mentioned that you're the mother of neurodivergent children. Talk
Yeah.
about that. Talk about that,
Yeah,
please.
so my oldest just went into college this year. It's been a little bit of an adjustment. Um, but he struggles with anxiety and it's something that and by the way, like I've spoken to both of my kids about whether or not I can share parts of their story and both of them have agreed that like that I can talk about this. So I don't want y'all to think I'm talking about my kids and one of them's underage, the other one is 18, but they both blessed me to share their stories as well. So my oldest struggles with anxiety, and that's something that he still struggles with now. And he's actually done a great job. I'm so proud of him for the way that he's worked with his therapist and with his college to get the accommodations that he needs and everything. Um, he's also transgender, and so and we live in Texas. That's been a
This
big
your oldest one?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
that's been a big I don't want to say issue because that makes it sound like I'm not supportive, but it's an issue because we live in Texas and Texas is not a supportive place. And so that's where I'm coming from whenever I say it's been an issue. It's been something that we've had to really be
Mm,
conscious about working through with schools, with who we surround ourselves with how we allow people to speak around our family, and that kind of thing. And then he suspects that he might also be autistic, and maybe ADHD. He's looking into getting evaluated for those. But so he's got a bit going on, and then my youngest also has ADHD and Tourette syndrome.
mm,
And every now and then I wind up like almost gaslighting myself into thinking maybe he doesn't really have it, and then his tics will start back up. And we're kind of in a period right now where it could go away. He's at the age now, he's 12. He just turned 12 on Monday. But he's at the age now where it could either go away entirely or it could solidify into something that he's going to deal with for the rest of his life. And so we're kind
mm.
of in like a wait and see. And every time there's like a lull in the ticks, I'm like, okay, maybe it's gone away, and then they'll come back. But so yeah, we have to work through a lot of different things with each kid, and it's just a matter of what each kid needs, and they're both fantastic about all of it. And they're great about sharing like, hey, this is what I need right now, which is something
Mm.
that it's been a long road to get there with my oldest, and of course we're still working with the youngest to make sure that he gets there too. But
Okay. Okay. We we talked about our views on uh, what mental health is, but what do you think? What's your take on how people in our country view mental health now?
right now I think is a little different than I would have said a year or two ago. Um, because I've seen a lot of the language almost turn. So I feel like we were trending in a great direction of, oh, we're willing to talk about depression, we're willing to talk about anxiety, we're willing to talk about ADHD, we're willing to talk about all of these things with how they impact everyone. Lately I've seen a lot of language where it's like, oh, you have anxiety. And it's like, are you faking it? Or, as my guest actually just Monday put it, that's a first world problem, or that's a first world diagnosis. And so it's like
Mm,
you have the luxury of having anxiety. And so even whenever there is a diagnosis in place, there seems to be a lot of pushback, and that's concerning to me because I feel like we were just getting to a place where, okay, we understand everyone handles things differently. Okay, we understand this happened today. I reacted this way. Someone else is going to react this way, and it's okay that those two exist and that they're two different things, because my life experiences are not your life experiences. My
yeah.
things that I struggle with are not what you struggle with. What you struggle with is not what I struggle with. And it could be nothing to me and everything to you, and that's
Mm,
okay, and that's something we could recognize. And we've really gotten to a point now where the language is just, it's just turning a little bit, in my opinion, in the wrong direction. And
mm,
Blue Bedlam says there's so much stigma coming back hard right now, and that's exactly what I mean. It really
mm.
does seem to be just coming back in a bad way, and I
Yeah.
hate that. I hate it so much.
Yeah. Which leads me to ask you this question. Some of the issues that I have regarding mental health is the lack of or the shortage of access to resources.
Mm,
What I mean by that is we have organizations that help people that are dealing with mental health issues. However, it's not it's not a lot.
mm-hmm,
And and a lot of these organizations, it requires people to have insurance. And I know that people that are dealing with severe issues, right? Some of them don't tend to have insurance. I've done some research and whatnot, and uh, one of the things that really disturbed me about mental health is the inability for people to gain access to the limited resources that we already have. because of the lack of insurance. And you mentioned something about where we're taking a step back. I think we've taken a few steps.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and there's such a problem of privilege, right? Because if you have insurance, if you have a job that gives you insurance, if you have a job that will give you enough hours to give you insurance, if you can find a job that will pay you, there's so many steps to get to, okay, I have insurance, now I can access things. Okay, you have insurance, can you afford things? Is still yet another step as well, because maybe your whole paycheck goes to pay for insurance for you and your kids.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that, and I was so hopeful because so many things became free during the pandemic. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden it was like, "Oh, we're recognizing we need all of the support. We're recognizing that this stuff needs to be there. We're recognizing that it truly is a need
Mm-hmm.
because we're going through this global crisis."
Mm.
And now it's just gotten all pulled back. That's not as recent as what I was talking about. That's been just like okay, well now we can start charging again. So of course companies are there to make money, so they're gonna charge and make money. But yeah, I I wish that there was more. I wish there was more free. I wish that people were given a certain amount of time to do things. And I wish that they would do more things remote without having to jump through hoops. That was another thing that the pandemic brought, was you could do a lot of things remotely.
Yeah.
If you're a single mother and you've got two kids and you work full time and your therapist is 30 minutes away because you live in a rural area, or they're an hour away, and you're going to drive an hour there, you have to find childcare, you have to get time off of work, you have to make sure it doesn't interfere with kids' activities. There's so much that you have to work around to even get to the appointment. And
Yeah.
it's just, it was going in the right direction again, and now I feel like it's sliding back a little bit.
Mm. My wife Gabrielle says this, which will lead to my next complaint. She says, I was referred to behavioral health and it was over 4 months
Oh.
out, 4 months out for her to get an appointment.
Mm.
And then I never even got a call to make an appointment.
Oh no.
I remember our conversation about that she said it was, yeah, about 4 to 6 months, I think.
Mm.
So, so that is also another complaint that uh, I feel needs to be addressed, in the fact that when you do contact these the resources and the agencies, whatnot, therapists aren't available for months, and they might not even remember to even call you because they're so backlogged.
Yeah. Yeah, they're backlogged, they're overwhelmed, they're overworked, and they have to deal with insurance. They have to deal the number of
That's not to get
therapists.
back.
Yeah, the number of therapists I've talked to who are like, the worst part of my job is dealing with insurance. I hate dealing with insurance. And a lot of the time that might make it not worth it for them to even take insurance. And the insurance providers can just decide to drop them for
Mm,
nothing. So
mm.
so just having to keep up with all of that, like it's almost a second job on top of being a therapist. Um and it's just, it's one of those things that it's really frustrating on both sides, I think, because it's like, okay, that therapist missed a message to give you a call, or the system was part of the AWS outage and the thing didn't go through at all. Like whatever the reason that your wife didn't get a call, you may never know why the call didn't come through, but also the therapist might not even know that they were supposed to. And
Mm.
it's such a failure for the people who are reaching out for these resources through the right channels, too. It sounds like she was going through all the right channels, and this still happened when someone who's willing to just pay cash and avoid the hassle of insurance, which again comes back to privilege. If someone can just pay cash, they
Who
can
has that type of cash?
yeah, they can just go get an appointment.
Yeah, who has that type of cash?
Yeah,
I don't.
right. Right. And so it's like, yeah, yeah, it's
It's
frustrating.
it is. It's messy, and it goes into the topic of, are our insurance agencies and employers, do they have our best interest in mind,
No, they have
especially when it comes to our mental and our physical health?
they have
Yeah,
money in mind.
yeah.
They're businesses. They are for-profit businesses.
Mm,
Insurance should not be for profit, in my
mm.
opinion.
That wasn't no, that wasn't the goal of insurance, how, but it turned into a monster of its own. So yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done. A lot of changes that needs to occur
Mm.
from the professional side. Um, Definitely a lot more um, speaking out, uh, being courageous enough to look at yourself in the mirror and admit that you're dealing with something that's beyond your control or out of pocket, so to speak,
Hmm.
right? Um, but again, that it goes back to what I said about our journeys and what we're doing. And we're not saying this just to be saying this. We're saying it from experience. We're saying it because we care and we want the best for our people and our communities and our families. And I just wish that more people listen to us,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
and I'll tell you, I'll take that a step further. Like I really do this because I truly, truly believe that if there had been more people like you and I doing what we're doing now back then, I think my grandfather would still be here. So I
Indeed.
I think it literally saves lives whenever you're willing to help break down that stigma. And
Indeed.
I've been so blessed to be on the receiving end of a I just want you to know you literally saved my life message. I've received that message from someone who was listening to the podcast. And it's like I didn't do shit. I didn't save anyone's life. That wasn't me. You made that choice to serve
Indeed.
yourself and to really honor yourself and to get the help that you needed. And I'm just glad that my message was the one to reach those ears. And but we just got to keep doing it. And sometimes it's
Mhm.
a thankless job, but we just got to keep doing it.
Yeah. What was the best advice anyone's given to you about your work?
The best advice that anyone's given to me about
What you do?
podcasting or
The
mental
podcast.
health
Yes.
types of
Both.
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 Oh, I mean the best advice I think anyone ever gave me for like being willing to stream or start a podcast was just to do it. Like it was one of those things that I didn't even know what streaming was when I started and someone was like, "Here, look at this. I think you'd be good at it." And so I went on. I was like, "Oh, that could be fun, it'll be at least amusing for my friends, right?" And so I started doing that. And then I started having these mental health conversations. And it was like, I don't know if anyone's going to be interested in this. And as soon as the pandemic happened, someone reached out and said, "Hey, what happened? I missed those." And it was just because I had had so many people cancel because they were getting COVID. And someone reached out and said, "Hey, what happened to the mental health conversations? I missed those." And those are the kinds of things that really gave me the motivation to just keep going, but also just to start. I think the biggest thing is if you're like, "Oh, I wish I could do something like that." The best advice anyone ever gave me was just to do it. I didn't start off with half the programs that I use now. I didn't start off knowing how to do any of it. And now there are so many resources that you can go and you can learn. You can learn that kind of thing and you can figure it out before you even start if that's your thing. If you want to do all the research ahead of time, great. If you want to just jump in, just jump in. But I think for podcasting and for having the mental health conversations, it really was just start.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
as far as mental health goes, I don't know what the best advice I've ever been given when it comes to my own mental health. I guess just I guess just that it's okay to fall apart a little bit. And there's not a single person who gave me that advice. It's just kind of what I've strung together into my own words. So I don't have like so and so said this to me, but it's
Yeah.
just example after example and push after push of people either supporting me or showing me what not to do, or all of those people who are there, and therapists, friends and family, all of that, people sharing their own stories. It's
Mm.
okay to fall apart a little bit.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. Just do the work to get yourself back together.
Yep, yep. Don't see it as that single point of failure that you can't come back from, because that's not what it is. It's the point where you scoop yourself back up and you move a little bit forward and you start to rebuild.
Hmm. So what's next for you in your journey?
Oh, I mean, like I said, my oldest just got into college, and my focus right now is just keep going. So it's like he's in college, which costs a lot of money, by the way.
Yeah.
And so my focus is just keep going, keep being there to support both of my kids, and keep doing what I'm doing. I really have been very consistent with the podcast for the past couple of years, which I wasn't before. Last year I added back in being consistent with YouTube. And so
Mm.
I'm trying to kind of get there where I can add back in a little more social media engagement. That's something that takes just like so much it takes so much time and energy and effort to really engage in social media. You can post things, but being there to have that engagement is something that I let fall off a little bit, and I
Yeah.
would like to get back to that a little bit more. um, but yeah, I think just trying to be consistent and keep having people on my show and keep talking to people like yourself on their shows.
That's awesome. Awesome. How can people contact you?
So you can reach out. Tacosfallapart.com has all the ways to find me. I am on social media pretty much everywhere as Mama Foxfire, MOMMAFOX Foxfire, FIRE. So everywhere that I can be Mama Foxfire, that's what I am. If you're looking for us on Discord, we are the Fox Fam community. That's where we've got a great community. But the tacosfallapart.com website has a link to join the Discord community. It has all the social links. You can email me if that's your thing. If you want to email, uh, head over there. That's where I am.
Awesome. Mama Foxfire, it has been a privilege and an honor to speak with you this evening about the things that we care about.
Yeah. Thank you
Um,
so much for having me. This has been a blast. And please keep doing what you're doing. I love it.
Yay. All right, I will. I will. I don't plan on doing anything anytime soon. So uh, yeah, I guess the best advice that somebody told me was keep going, keep moving,
Mhm.
keep moving. And I plan on doing that. So yeah. But anyway, Mama, thank you. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross podcast. Oh, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please take care of yourselves. Reach out to someone, to somebody if you need to. Uh, and as always, it's okay to not be okay. Just do something about it. Mama, you have yourself a good evening.
Thank
Ladies and
you so
gentlemen,
much. You
you have
too.
yourself a good evening as well. So take care. Bye bye.
See if this picks up my camera. It does. Yay! Thank you guys so much for tuning in for that. I am going to go eat some dinner, and then I'll be back maybe. We'll see if I come back to do a little gaming, but I have not eaten dinner, and I need to go make sure that my child is actually getting ready for bed. So, I will go do that, and y'all tune back in about 30 minutes. Bye.